When I first married Emily, I thought I had found the woman who would stand beside me through thick and thin. She was beautiful, sharp, and had this way of making every room revolve around her. At family dinners, she always knew how to keep conversations flowing, and my parents adored her charm. To everyone else, she was the perfect wife. But what they didn't see was the way she would chip away at my confidence behind closed doors. It started with small comments. "John, why don't you dress better? You always look like you just rolled out of bed." Then came the jabs about my job. "Maybe if you worked harder, we could actually afford a decent vacation." I brushed it off, thinking marriage wasn't supposed to be easy, and maybe I just needed to toughen up. But deep down, I felt a growing distance. The cracks widened when Emily began spending more time on her phone than with me. I'd walk into the room and she'd quickly lock the screen, offering a half-smile that never reached her eyes. At night, she'd roll over, claiming she was too tired for intimacy, and soon, our marriage felt more like a cold business arrangement than a partnership. Still, I clung to the hope that things would change, that the woman I fell in love with was still in there somewhere. Then came the day that flipped my world upside down. I walked into my parents' living room, invited for what I thought was a casual Sunday lunch. But instead of warmth, I was met with cold, accusing stares. My mother's eyes were brimming with tears, my father's jaw was clenched tight, and Emily sat in the middle of it all, tissues in hand, looking like the epitome of a betrayed wife. "John," my mother whispered, "how could you do this to her?" I froze. "Do what?" Emily broke into sobs, holding up a set of printed screenshots. Messages between a man and a woman. The woman's name was mine. The words were full of flirtation, longing, even hotel room arrangements. My own family looked at me like I was a stranger, and Emily buried her face in her hands, crying harder as if she couldn't bear the humiliation. The room spun. I had never seen these messages before, never even spoken to the supposed woman in them. Yet here they were, painted in black and white, with my name attached. And in that moment, surrounded by my family's judgment, I realized the unthinkable. My own wife had staged fake evidence of an affair, just to destroy me. My heart pounded in my chest as I stared at the fabricated texts. "This isn't real," I managed to say, my voice shaking. "I never wrote any of this." But Emily didn't miss a beat. She lifted her tear-stained face, her voice trembling just enough to sound convincing. "Please, John, don't make this worse by lying." I didn't want to say anything, but I couldn't live with the truth anymore. "You betrayed me, and I had no choice but to tell your family." My father stood up, glaring at me. "How could you humiliate her like this? After everything she's done for you?" I opened my mouth to defend myself, but the words caught in my throat. How do you argue against something that looks so real on paper? Emily had timed it perfectly, ambushing me in front of the very people whose opinion mattered most. If I lashed out, I'd look guilty. If I stayed silent, I'd look guilty. She had built a trap with no way out. Inside, I was boiling. Who was this woman I had married? And why go to such lengths to ruin me? Later that night, when we were finally alone, I confronted her. "Emily, those messages are fake. Admit it. Why are you doing this to me?" Her tears vanished in an instant, replaced by a smirk that sent chills down my spine. "Because I'm done pretending, John. I deserve better than you. And if I make you look like the villain, I walk away with everyone's sympathy, and maybe even the house." Her words cut deeper than any knife. It wasn't about love, loyalty, or even anger. It was strategy. She wanted to paint herself as the victim so she could control the narrative, and I was nothing more than a pawn in her game. I barely slept that night, my mind racing. I thought about every family gathering where she had charmed my parents, every subtle dig she had thrown at me, every time she had built herself up by tearing me down. Suddenly, it all fit together. This wasn't a spontaneous meltdown, it was a calculated campaign. The next morning, I knew I couldn't just sit back and let my life unravel. I started looking closely at the so-called screenshots, studying them like evidence in a courtroom. Something didn't add up. The timestamps were inconsistent, the font in one message didn't match the others, and one screenshot even showed the phone's battery percentage jumping backward. Sloppy mistakes, but enough for me to grab onto. If Emily thought she could trap me with her lies, She underestimated one thing. I wasn't about to go down without a fight. Armed with the inconsistencies I had found, I decided it was time to flip the script. I contacted a close friend of mine, Mark, who worked in IT security. I showed him the screenshots, and within minutes, he confirmed what I already suspected. John, these are doctored images. Look here. The metadata shows they were edited just a few days ago, not when the supposed conversations took place. She used a fake texting app to generate them. Relief washed over me, but anger followed right behind it. My wife had not only betrayed my trust, she had staged a character assassination in front of my entire family. I wasn't going to let her walk away with the sympathy vote. The following weekend, my parents invited us over again, still visibly disappointed in me. Emily arrived dressed in muted colors, putting on her devastated wife act, her every sigh rehearsed. I waited until everyone was seated before standing up. Before we eat, I said, my voice steady. I need to clear something up. Emily clutched her tissue, already ready to play the victim again. But then I connected my laptop to the TV and pulled up the digital forensic report Mark had prepared. Line by line, I showed them the flaws, the mismatched fonts, the inconsistent timestamps, the altered metadata. My father leaned forward, squinting at the evidence, while my mother's hand trembled on her glass of water. And then, the final nail. A screen recording Mark had made, recreating the exact same fake messages using the app Emily had used. Within seconds, the conversation that had supposedly destroyed my marriage was duplicated right in front of them. The room fell silent. Emily's face drained of color. Emily, I said, staring at her. You didn't just lie to me. You lied to them. You tried to destroy my name in front of the people I love the most. Why? Was it the attention? Or was it just about making sure you walked away looking like a saint? She stuttered, searching for words, but nothing came. My father, the man who had been ready to disown me days earlier, turned to her with disgust. How could you? You've made a fool of all of us. Emily tried to cry again, but this time no one comforted her. The sympathy she had so carefully staged evaporated in an instant. That night, I packed my things. I wasn't going to live in a house built on lies. The divorce came soon after, and while it wasn't easy, I walked away with my dignity, and more importantly, my family's trust restored. Emily had wanted to play the victim, but in the end, she became the villain of her own story.